Before he conquered armies, Temujin was a hungry child with almost nothing. No army, no throne, no great name. He was afraid of dogs, bullied by his half-brothers, forgotten by his own father during a migration. And yet this frightened boy, abandoned on the Mongolian steppe with his family, would one day become Genghis Khan. His story begins with his mother Hoelun. Long before Temujin was born, Hoelun belonged to another tribe. A young warrior came to her people looking for a wife. He brought gifts, lived alongside her family, and worked for them for years. On the steppe, marriage was not simply a private arrangement. It connected families, labor survival, and future alliances. When Hoelun and the warrior married, they began the long journey back to his homeland. They never made it. As they crossed remote mountain valleys, a group of hunters attacked them. These men could not offer the bride gifts needed to marry a woman like Hoelun, so they chose another path. They took her by force. Her husband knew the attackers would catch them soon. Hoelun made a terrible decision. She told him to flee without her. If he escaped quickly, the hunters would focus on her and leave him behind. According to the legend, Hoelun took off her shirt and gave it to him before he rode away. On the Mongolian steppe, a person's breath and scent were believed to carry part of the soul. By giving him the shirt, she left him with a piece of herself. They would never meet again. Hoelun was taken by a man named Yesugei. Yesugei already had an extended family, including another wife and 3 children. Hoelun entered this new household as a captive, far from the people she had known. Then she gave birth to a son. The child was named Temujin. Yesugei chose the name after a respected warrior he had recently killed in battle. It was a strong name, but the boy did not seem strong at first. Temujin was quiet and easily frightened. Dogs scared him. His half-brothers pushed him around. His father showed him little affection. At one point, when the tribe packed up camp and moved, Yesugei even left Temujin behind. That was the world Temujin entered. On the steppe, survival depended on family, animals, alliances, and protection. A child without a strong position in his group could be exposed to danger very quickly. When Temujin was 8 years old, Yesugei began looking for a future wife for him. That was the earliest age at which a boy's marriage could be arranged. Hoelun wanted Temujin to marry into her own tribe. She hoped he would grow up connected to some part of her lost family. Yesugei agreed, and they set out. A few days into the journey, they stopped at a small yurt for food and rest. The family living there had a young daughter named Börte. Temujin and Börte seemed to get along. After negotiations, Yesugei arranged an engagement. Temujin would remain with Börte's family and work for them for several years. His labor would serve as a kind of dowry. By the time the work was finished, the 2 children would be old enough to marry. Temujin stayed behind. Yesugei began the ride home. On the way, he came across a group of warriors holding a feast. He joined them. One of the men recognized him. Years earlier, Yesugei had killed a warrior named Temujin. Now the killer was sitting at a meal with people who remembered that death. They poisoned his food. Yesugei did not die immediately. He managed to reach his camp, but the poison had done its work. His family sent for Temujin, but the message came too late. By the time the boy returned, his father was dead. Everything changed. Yesugei had been the family's protection. Without him, Hoelun, the other wife, and their 7 children were vulnerable. Their tribe had little reason to keep supporting them. The group abandoned them. Hoelun did not accept it quietly. She mounted a horse and followed the departing tribe for miles, carrying Yesugei's horsehair spirit banner. She reminded them of the service he had given them and the loyalty he had once earned. An elderly man spoke in the family's defense. He told the tribe that abandoning the widow and children of a warrior was shameful. That act of kindness cost him his life. He was killed with a spear. For Temujin, it was another lesson delivered without mercy. A man who tried to help his family had died for it. Then, the tribe took the family's animals and rode away. The women and children were left with almost nothing. They should have died. But Hoelun refused to let that happen. She searched for food across the harsh landscape. She gathered plants and roots. The children adapted however they could. They bent sewing needles into fishing hooks. They made arrows from sticks and hunted rats and small birds. They tied bones beneath their shoes to make crude ice skates. The skates were useful for play, but they also helped them move across frozen ground while hunting. The family survived because it became resourceful. For Temujin, this was more than a miserable childhood. It was training. He learned how to read danger. He learned how to live with almost no supplies. He learned that losing everything did not mean giving up. Most importantly, he learned that people could take from you at any moment, unless you were strong enough to stop them. He did have one friend, a boy named Jamuka, sometimes camped nearby with his family. Jamuka was slightly older than Temujin. The two hunted together, explored the hills, and grew close. Twice they swore to become Anda. And Anda was more than an ordinary friend. It meant a blood brother, a bond chosen outside the family. On the steppe, such a relationship carried deep meaning. The first time they exchanged dice made from sheep knuckle bones, a rare treasure for children living in poverty. Later, as teenagers, they exchanged handmade arrowheads. For a while, Temujin had something close to loyalty, but danger was never far away. As the family grew older, Temujin's elder half-brother began to act as its leader. He took a fish Temujin had caught. Later, he took a bird Temujin had shot. These may sound like small things. They were not. Food was survival. Authority was survival. In a family with so little, taking someone's catch was also a declaration of power. Temujin and his half-brother Börte complained to Hoelun. She told them to stop fighting each other. Their real enemies were the people who had cast the family aside. They needed unity, not another conflict. Temujin did not listen. He was angry. He had spent his life being overlooked, pushed around, abandoned, and robbed. Now his older brother was taking what he had earned. Temujin decided that he would no longer accept it. He and Börte tracked their half-brother to an isolated place in the woods. The older boy warned them. Without him, he said they would have no allies left. Then the brothers shot him with arrows. When they returned, Hoelun knew immediately what they had done. She was devastated. Until then, the family had been outcasts. Now they were also stained by blood. Temujin had killed someone from his own household to claim authority. He had crossed a line. His crime made him a fugitive. The clan that had abandoned his family years before tracked him down and captured him. They put him in wooden stocks and treated him as a servant among their slaves. Temujin was trapped, watched, and humiliated. But he did not surrender to it. He waited. One day he was left under the guard of a smaller, inattentive boy. The warriors had spent the day drinking. Their discipline was weak. Temujin saw his chance. He swung the heavy wooden stocks into his guard and knocked him unconscious. Then he hid in reeds near the camp. It was a clever choice. His captors would expect him to run as far as possible. They would search the open land and chase after him. Temujin understood that the safest place might be close by, where no one expected him to be. When the warriors left to search, a sympathetic local family helped him escape the stocks. Temujin disappeared into the night. He was 16 years old. For 7 years he had not seen Börte, the girl he had been promised to as a child. Now he went to find her. She had waited. Despite knowing Temujin's troubles with the steppe tribes, Börte's family allowed the marriage to go forward. The wedding gave Temujin more than a wife. It gave him a chance to build a new future. As part of the marriage custom, Börte's family gave Temujin a fine black sable coat. Sable fur was among the most valuable gifts on the steppe. Temujin could not give the coat to his father. Yesugei was dead. So he used it to gain protection. He took the sable coat to Ong Khan, a powerful tribal leader and an old ally of Yesugei. Years earlier, Yesugei had fought beside Ong Khan and helped him overthrow an uncle who threatened his position. On the steppe, these old ties mattered. Alliances were not secured with written contracts. They were built through kinship, shared struggle, obligation, and blood. By presenting the coat, Temujin recognized Ong Khan as a father figure. Ong Khan accepted the gift. He accepted Temujin as a son. That brought Temujin and his family under the protection of a powerful leader. Ong Khan even offered to make him a commander over other young warriors. Temujin refused. After years of hunger, fear, captivity, and conflict, he wanted something simpler. He wanted to live with his family. He wanted a small camp, safety, and peace. For a short time, it seemed possible. The children were old enough to work. The family had a camp. Temujin had Börte, and behind him stood the protection of Ong Khan. But on the steppe, old wounds did not disappear. The people from whom Yesugei had abducted Hoelun years earlier had never forgotten. They were the Merkids. Yesugei was dead. Hoelun was older now, a widow who had spent years raising children in hardship. The Merkids did not come for her. They came for Börte. They came to take Temujin's young bride as revenge for the woman his father had stolen long before.